Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
The Parliamentary Under-Secretary, of course, for Migration. I actually just wanted to start, if we could, on Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
And just, it's across the ocean from us, but your reflections on...
Yeah, I'm glad you've asked. It's disturbed me. This is a man with 2 children, a family, and they've been left behind. And look, my view on debate is that it must be open. We must be allowed to speak freely. And I'm really proud of this country and how we can and do that. And look, I think some of the words that Charlie Kirk actually said was that if we're not talking, we're fighting. So it is vital that even with people we disagree with strongly, we have that engagement, because that stops wars. And it's a very sad day, not just for the United States, but for the world.
Let's talk about issues, divisive issues at times. I wonder, though, on immigration, broadly, after last night, if you increasingly think it's actually not as divisive as previously thought. Is there a growing consensus on this, or not? Or is it still as dividing an issue as it once was?
I've knocked thousands of doors in my constituency at Dover and Deal, and the illegal migration issue comes up consistently. And when I talk to people on the streets in London too, it comes up. And that's not racist. It's a fair view to have. And what it's about is it's having a rules-based system that's fair, that isn't undercutting, where people aren't jumping the queues. We're British. We love a queue, don't we? And so it's really important that we are ensuring that we have a functioning system. We've inherited a mess. 400 crossed in 2018. We've had over 150,000 crossings since that. The whole Home Office system had ground to a halt. They'd stopped processing those claims. Now, that's increased by 50%, which means we're making decisions. This is only in 12 months, and that's led to a massive increase in deportations and removals. That's up to 35,000 now. We've, of course, made this deal with the French, which means if you're sat on a beach in Calais spending up to £10,000, there's that high risk that you could be deported immediately on arrival. We're also looking at more returns agreements. Now, that's really good work, including, by the way, what we're seeing in Parliament going through at the moment, which is counter-terror powers to get to the smuggling gangs before they act, just like we do terrorists. Now, I've worked in the past against criminal gangs, but also in a counter-terror role, so I know firsthand the difference that makes. Now, that's being held up by the Conservative Lords, and I urge them to get that through so the National Crime Agency can reap the benefits from that. But we're going to go harder, faster. That's what Shabana Mahmood has been very clear, our new Home Secretary. She was responsible for that increase in deportation of foreign national offenders. That's up 14%. We're already exploring MOD sites so that we can move people out of hotels. That's what the public want. That's what we're going to deliver. We're looking at the ECHR and reforming that so that we can deport more, and of course looking at more returns agreements.
Lord Hermer has said you can't reform the ECHR or not to lead to any results in a matter of years. Does that mean it's either leave it or keep it?
Well, we're working with our international partners and friends. There's 9 nations that have signed up to looking at this. We're leading on that. That could take some time, which is why we're taking control of this issue, because we're the British government. That's what we do. So we're taking this home and we're saying that we're going to reform our laws here so that while the ECHR is as it is, it's not being misinterpreted and we can deport and remove vile criminals. And
if you take control and you change the laws that apply here and somebody across the channel says that means you're in breach, would you leave the ECHR if it came to that?
Well, look, we know the importance of the ECHR. Many of our trade agreements are underpinned by it. The Belfast Agreement's underpinned by it. And also the immigration returns and removals deals that we've struck are underpinned by it. It could have massive costs on our immigration system to come out of that. And look, we're also leading on the international stage on things like the coalition of the willing. There's a threat from Russia. It's important we maintain that standpoint.
No, I get all that. I'm just saying, because you outlined that you're taking back control, you're going to change the laws here. If you do that, and you as a party, as a parliament, propose a law and you want it to go through, and someone says the ECHR would stop you from doing that, at that point, which might be years ahead, would you personally think, well, that's time to leave the ECHR?
I'm really confident that we can reform our domestic laws to suit so that we can deport and remove more people. I'm confident on that.
Let's talk about one of the aspects of this, which is licences that companies have to employ migrant workers. You're saying you've revoked 1,948 of those licences where people have been in breach of the rules, and that last year that was 937, so it's gone up. Is that's because they broke the law and employed people illegally?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a 100% increase in just 12 months. We're going to go harder on that too. What we have here, people think about illegal migration and small boats. Now, that's a massive part of the problem, of course, that we're dealing with. But also there's a large number who are coming over on visas, overstaying and then looking to claim asylum. A proportion of that are through work visas, and there's employers who are unfortunately essentially scamming the system on it. So what we've done is we've improved intelligence sharing between government agencies and law enforcement partners to get to those employers and shut them down so that they can't do it, and that reduces the numbers of illegal migrants in this country.
When you say shut them down, what do you mean? So these companies are being shut down fully?
So what this means, apologies...
I think the question is I read the press release, and it sounds like they're being stopped from continuing the wrongdoing, but they're not being punished.
So, well, there are punishments as well, and there can be massive fines for repeat offenders. But what we're doing here is sanctioning them to make sure they don't have access to the foreign workforce. But we are going further as well, and we're looking at that as we speak around big fines, which will have massive implications on these businesses. So we're ensuring that...
How big are the fines? Of these 1,948 companies that you've taken licence to employ foreign workers away from, how much have you fined?
I don't have the figure on the exact fines that's being worked through, but of course it will be significant. If people are undercutting British workers, they'll be punished. But at the same time, we're stopping them from doing that. They won't be able to, because we made a commitment in our manifesto that will put British workers first, and those opportunities will be there, and we're delivering on that.
Let's touch on Peter Mandelson. Does the Prime Minister still have full faith in him?
As far as I know, I haven't been with Keir Starmer. I've seen what Keir Starmer said in the chamber yesterday during PMQs, which, of course, we've all seen.
And that's your understanding is ongoing. The Prime Minister thinks the further details that keep emerging of the depths of their friendship and when it continued until is fine.
So what I've seen is Keir Starmer's statement in the House yesterday, and of course Peter Mandelson's statement following that. But I just want to say to viewers that I have worked to arrest paedophiles, and I've met victims of this, and it's a vile crime. And Epstein was a vile man, and we're working hard as a government, and I will always work hard in any role that I have to ensure that these people aren't on our streets. We know Jess Phillips is working hard. We also know Keir Starmer, as Director of Prosecutions, was making sure that vile paedophiles were put in prison. When it comes to migration, obviously more my area, we don't want paedophiles on the streets. And we've said that, you know, if the law says you can't deport these people, we'll change it, because we're legislators. We've got to remember that.
Presumably, if Parliament and various committees in Parliament say he must return to face a hearing so we can get to the bottom of these details, that is something that the government supports.
Well, let's see what happens with that. What we've got at the moment is a statement.
It's a simple
from
question. Should he face the scrutiny of parliamentarians on this relationship?
It's very much hypothetical. If that,
well, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, should he do so?
If that happens, then of course I will support that happening. Where we stand at the moment is Keir Starmer's statement in the yesterday.
What do you mean if that happens? It hasn't happened yet. People are calling for it to happen. Do you agree that that's a fair thing to call for?
What, for independent inquiry?
For a parliamentary, for him to come back and sit in front of MPs of the appropriate committee and face questions on his relationship?
Well, I think it's important that we have all the answers on this. The mechanism.
Well, how do we get the answers if the questions aren't posed?
The mechanism to this may well be what you've just proposed there and what some are calling for. That's absolutely fine. What's important to me, and I'm really clear on this, is we do have the full answers on this. And what we've seen from Keir Starmer and from Lord Mandelson is that everything is out now.
Is it out?
Well, as far as I know, yes. Yeah.
I mean, I'm baffled by the non-answer. You want to have your claim, you want everyone to have the full answers, but you don't support the questions being asked by elected MPs.
No, well, that's not what I said. I said if that happens, then of course I'll support that. I think it's really important that we get to the bottom of this and do have all the answers. But look, Keir Starmer has been clear yesterday in the House that all of the answers are there. That's what Keir Starmer has said to the Chamber. And of course, Peter Mandelson has given his statement since then.
Mike Tapp, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you, and thanks again for joining the debate last night, which was fantastic.
No, it was a pleasure.